Hi team, welcome to sort of next flex assignment here. So working through the advancing in Excel and Tableau part one. The naming is going to get a little bit, I don't know, unique here just because I want it to be a little bit more precise as we go through, at least in terms of like saving and things like that. So kind of what we're going to do initially here is we're going to do sort of this e-commerce profitability analysis. So hopefully you found the video walkthrough here. In terms of things that we're going to go through, again, we're just going to explore both the programs. We're going to spend most of our time in Excel, or not in Excel, I'm sorry, in Tableau at this piece. I'll do a small set of things in Excel, but I want to move kind of quickly through those. I will jump back, do more sophisticated things in it later on, but I want to start kind of making a key distinction. So we're going to play around with these, dive deep into some of the smaller, more minute kind of features. And then the big thing here is I'm going to start, hopefully, maybe, I don't want to say splitting your brain a little bit, but I kind of need to do that in terms of we're going to build both a dynamic exploratory dashboard and then we're going to link it to a created explanatory dashboard. So they're used for two different purposes. And I've seen a lot in the past. It's really, really hard for students to kind of wrap their minds around the differences between the two. So I'm going to try early on to go ahead and show an example of that. Even if we haven't talked specifically about it in lecture by the time you see this, we'll cover it pretty early. So I'm hoping we have, but if not, it's good to see it multiple times. All right, so let's go ahead and just frame it around a company. So you're going to work for a new company. You're going to work for a company called Southwest Office Solutions. It's this growing regional office supply, furniture, retail service customers that services customers across the southern and western United States. It is both B2B, business to business, so it sells to corporations. It's also business to consumer. And it's rapidly expanding. It serves customers all the way from California to Kentucky. I mean, technically all the way to Maine, but I'm from Kentucky, so I like to throw it in there whenever I can. It does ship nationwide. It uses lots of different shipping modes, standard, second, first class, same day. It serves different customer segments with varying discount structures. It has had some good growth in the online sales over the past year, but it has lots of, and by doing that, it has lots of data across the primary categories. So it sells office supplies, furniture supplies, and technology supplies. Now, each of those has obviously some subcategories in it as we kind of go through. What we're going to do is we're going to explore it, right? We have this a lot of data. Let's see what we can kind of figure out. And it stems from the top, right? So the chief financial officer, so CFO, I should put that in here, has raised concerns about the company's sort of e-profitability or e-commerce profitability. While revenue has grown, it appears that profit margins vary drastically across categories, subcategories, segments, regions, shipping methods, discount levels, and more. And they really just want answers. And so that's your job. And we're going to spend this tutorial and the next tutorial doing that. Early on, you're still in training. And so management needs a more comprehensive understanding of which aspects of that operation are most and the least profitable to help guide strategic decisions for the upcoming year. To prepare you for this analysis, you're going to start with a guided learning experiences that introduces you to really two fundamental approaches to data visualization. One to explore, i.e. try and find interesting things. And then once you do, build it and highlight it. So to explain things. So you're going to build an exploratory dashboard and an explanatory dashboard. You're going to start by working alongside an experienced analyst, i.e. yours truly. We're going to go through a set of sort of step-by-step tutorials to create an exploratory dashboard for the company. This type of dashboard, again, designed for internal analysis, helps organizations discover patterns, and etc. After we do that, we're going to go through it and ideally find something interesting, one key kind of business insight. And again, I'll be very guided in this one, but next week's, I'm going to not guide you as much. but you're going to then create an explanatory dashboard as well. So we're going to have one deliverable that are linked together. So we're going to combine them into a story feature. So some of you all may have seen this, but if not, I'm going to show you as you go through. Obviously, again, this one's going to be very completion based, so follow along with me. I will leave a few things for you to do, but overall, I'll do probably 90% of the work with you here. Before you begin, make sure you have the required technology, and then make sure you download the data, the retail order part one. Again, it looks a little bit funky when you first get it. We're going to kind of clean it up. Again, for the submission, you're going to submit the URL here with the cleaned up data and go through there. And again, evaluation criteria, complete the step by step. If they're not, you're going to lose points. And then I just add a little piece. So I'll leave a few things for you to do. Like I'll have you add the logo and the information button. It's up to you. I don't care which logo you use. I'll have them right underneath this assignment. You can honestly create your own if you really want. Again, follow through. You're only going to, again, this time submit the completed Excel file with the completed Tableau link here to that kind of visual as we go through. Make sure that the Tableau is saved so that the first visual we see when opening it is the exploratory dashboard, just because that's usually what you kind of see first. You can obviously email me, post the D2L if you have questions, and I will get back to you. But now let's jump into the Excel piece. All right, so let's spend a little bit of time just making our life a little bit easier. Again, sometimes there are things that are easier to do once you're in Tableau. Sometimes it's easier to do it on the back end, wherever your kind of data source is. So early on, we'll focus in Excel for kind of the data cleaning, management, stuff like that. And then I'll show you how to do those things in Tableau with later kind of training. So first thing I'm always going to do is just start by, again, getting the data organized, getting my brain set up to where I'm gonna kind of maybe enjoy it a little bit more of kind of reading it. So I always just go through. I get to a point where I can see everything, so I'm fitting all the columns, just looking kind of what we have, and then I just like to always when I have a header, just kind of making it unique in this sense. And so I'll do that just across all three sheets. And again, you're saying that I'm zooming in, but you can use down here to zoom in as well. I use the mouse ball just because I think it's a little bit easier and faster, to be honest. So I'm just going across, making sure things fit. And I need to zoom in a little. So, oops, I don't want to do it all. Here. And again, you don't have to use the U of A blue, or I like to do that. So as I kind of go through it, I just look at stuff that we have, right? We have order date, shipping mode, ID, name, segment, city, state, postal code. So I have a lot of cool data just on this general sheet. Here I have a little bit about their discount information, I have revenue. I may go ahead, so I'll do this, then I'll hold Control or Command if you're on a Mac. Just go ahead and format these in a way that I really like. And so I like currency. Again, some people like accounting, which is perfectly fine. You can modify things, so I like when it's negative to also show it red. There's no such thing as red revenue. So you can actually modify that in the kind of display features. So if you go here, right, and so I use what we call conditional formatting. So I'll go here, I'll do conditional formatting, I'll do highlight cell rules, I'll do less than, and then I'll just do 0. And then you could do that. I kind of like to just have the red text. And then you do OK, and then it's pretty easy to see kind of your negative numbers, which is really nice. So I like that kind of piece, just to kind of get things set up. Some things that we can go through and get here is just some kind of interesting things that we can back out with the data. And so I know that I could actually get the price of these products. And so I'm going to go ahead and just do price. And it should be as easy as revenue divided by quantity, right? So I know that this costs $170. If the order brought in $7.30 and I had two of them, well, that divided by two will give me the price. So I'll go ahead and double click that down. So I now have the price of the product, which is unique and interesting. You also can get, right, the cost of it, because if you have the price and you have the profit, right, you can essentially back out, right, and also the revenue, the cost of it. So if the revenue, that's just how much we generate from the order, is 170 and I make $32 in profit, well, the difference of that is then the cost, right? And so I should do, let's see, this is going to be item price. This is going to be item cost. And so that is just equals, we'll do the revenue minus the profit. And then I need to be careful here. So I'm going to put a parenthesis in. Right, and then I'll divide by, I should have just done, no, I needed to do that. So I have the revenue minus the profit, divide by how much we sold. Right, and so I have that. And again, I could do like order, I guess order price is just the revenue, but I could do order cost. So I'm going to do, I'm going to copy paste. I'm going to do something like order cost. And this may not make sense to compare across things just because, yeah, do I want to actually compare across 1 versus 2 versus 3 versus 4 items sold? But if I was looking maybe aggregates, it may make things kind of interesting. And so that would just be, this one would be easy, right? It's just revenue minus profit. And then it'll be the same for 1 unit sold, but different there. A couple other things that I may want to do, instead of just profit total amount, a lot of companies will look at profit margin. And so I may insert here, I'm going to do profit margin. I'm also going to do item profit margin. So I'm going to do, let's do order profit margin. And then here, insert item profit margin as we go through. All right, so I have order profit margin and item profit margin. And so for this one, it just equals, so I need the profit, right? So it's just profit divided by revenue. You may see formulas that are just revenue minus cost over revenue. Well, that's just profit. And then you could divide by or multiply by 100 to see it as a percent. But what we're going to do is we're going to do this, click here, make it a percent, and then do 2 decimals. And then if an item profit margin is just equals the, I guess I need first insert. So I need to do order profit, and then we'll do item, we'll say profit per item. And that's just order profit divided by quantity. And then maybe I'll move this to here. And so you can see how these kind of get out of hand quickly. Here, make sure that should be less, right? Yeah, okay, here. Then I'll do percentage, 2 decimals. Okay. And again, this is getting crazy. I would probably sit down and reorder these, but these kind of make sense for these things together. The last thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to clean this up so that I know that right now this is categorical, which could be okay, but I want to be able to treat it as continuous as well. And so I'm going to go here. I'm going to insert a column, and then I'm just going to do discount percent, and then continuous. Or I may put like, because I'm thinking about labeling, so I would do full discount percent, just some difference. For this one, I need to use an if command because I want to get it all into the numeric. So I'll do equals if this cell equals, in quotes, none. All right, so if it equals none, I'll do comma, give me back 0, because that would be 0. And then comma, if it equals anything else, well, I want this cell, so I'm overlapping it, but you can see D2 divided by 100. That way, again, I can make it consistent with how these things are displayed. All right, so I'll close parenthesis, hit enter. Hopefully I see 0. I do. Double click down, and then I'm going to do %. All right, so I'm going to save this because we save often. And then I'm going to also do, I'll do this, and I'll do order discount. And then here, and I'll put in like a $sign. All right, and come on, gray. $sign, and then I'll do item discount. All right, so I'm taking something that's relatively simple and I'm pulling out a whole lot of information here. All right, so this one we're gonna have to think through a little bit kind of carefully here. And so if I know this is the revenue, the ones with 0 discount are easy, right? Because it is pretty simple in that it's just the revenue is so the order discount is $0, right? Now, but I don't really want to have to do an if command, and I don't want to have to kind of think through the logic. And it's tempting to just say, well, the discount we put on is 20%, so it should just be 20% of revenue. But think about it. It's technically that 20% is the discount that brought it down to 161.7. So we would be underestimating if we did that. And so we have to be kind of careful here. And so I always kind of do like a test case. So in my brain before this recording, I sat down and I kind of thought, and I said, okay, I would need to increase this number by 20% and then multiply it by that to get down to that piece. And so to see if this is going to work, what I kind of thought through is, okay, equals, what I need to do is I need to do the revenue. And then I want to do times, or no, yeah, revenue times, and then I'm going to open the parenthesis, and then I'm going to do 1 plus, thinking about this correctly, I don't think I am. I think I am. All right, so I'm going to do 1 plus the full discount. Close parenthesis, and then I think I need to times it by the discount. All right, so basically I'm taking this order, I'm increasing it by the discount that we put on it, and then I'm multiplying it by the discount to get back. So I'm going to close parenthesis. I'm hoping this one is 0, which it is 0 in accounting format. You'll see it's just the dash. I'm going to double click down, and then I think, okay, the order discount was, all right, and so item discount would just be the order discount divided by the quantity, hit enter. We'll go through as we go through. Okay, so I'm going to save this just because we've kind of done quite a few pieces. Then the last thing that we're going to go through is we're going to go to this category sheet, and you can kind of look at all the interesting things here, but like you can see like where this product ID kind of simplifies a lot of this other information. So really this information is captured here. But I want to split this category subcategory kind of piece. And so you can see as I go through, each of these is split by an underscore, right? And so except up here in the name, so I'm actually going to make my life a little easier where I'm going to replace that comma with an underscore. And then I can split these using a feature called text to columns, right? So I'm going to do this, and then I go to the data tab, and then I select text to columns, and then I'm going to do next, and then I do the other, and then underscore here. You can kind of see this thing. You could, if it was on the end, just be done, but I don't want this to overwrite the product name, and so I'm actually going to go to next and then I'm going to tell it, please put the output here, and I'll hit enter, and you can see the basic things of what you get back. I have to be careful. Let me go back here. Yeah, next. Okay. I have it general, NE1. Let's go ahead and finish. And then it's nice because it keeps them both. But in this case, I don't really need this column. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and delete this and then do my highlighting here. And then it cleans that up for what do we have? 9,900 orders there. The last thing I'm going to do is, so these all look good. I'm just going to create a variable here, right, where I put them together. So the opposite of text to columns is concat, right? It's put things together. And so I'm going to do equals concat, and concatenate may still work, but I just know concat. And then I'm going to do city, and I could just do comma state, but then when you hit enter, it puts it all together. It's very literal. And so what I'm going to have to do is after that first comma, I'm going to do in quotes a comma and a space, and then close the quotes and then comma up to do the next piece. So it's also concatenating city, then this symbol with a space after it, and then a state. So you can add whatever you want here, right? So you can add numbers to the end of things, anything like that, just kind of telling it. So you do that, you hit enter, and then you have city, state together if you wanted to look at them that way. So I'm going to save, and then I'm going to do just a quick review. We're not going to link anything just because I'm going to do that in Tableau. What I may do here, I'm just going to zoom out. If I were going to come back and need to look at these formulas, I would probably update or keep my commands so someone else could see them. So for this one, I think I'll leave them just so I can kind of see your commands as well. I don't know why this doesn't want to fit. That may just be, hit escape. I don't know if I have broken Excel or something like that. Maybe it's because I was just so zoomed out it didn't want to do that. I'm just having that piece. All right, so that'll be all that we do in Excel. I'll come back to this one next time. But for now, let's jump into Tableau. Okay, so let's pivot to Tableau here. So just open Tableau. We're going to go find our Excel file. Right, so make sure this is the saved one after you've done the Excel work, and it's going to take a little bit of time. Again, we're going to let it think. We're then going to select Use Data Interpreter. Right, then we have our 3 sheets. I wonder if you can click. So I'm just going to hold Select or hold, Shift and bring them all out. Let's see if this works. It's going to auto link them. Kind of worried. I like to see things, so I think it may be in there, but let's not do that. Let's do categorical info. Then I'll bring general info. And then, okay, it links, which is nice. And it generally is pretty smart. So then we'll do the numeric order info. Make sure they all three link. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we'll do some sort of auto formatting. So you should see all that data. So if you're someone that is visual and you like to kind of see what happened, you can kind of see on the spreadsheet, right, general order, categorical, all that kind of stuff. You can see categorical, general, numeric, and all the different pieces on it, which is relatively nice in that kind of piece. I'm going to focus on profit margin. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do this, and maybe I'll do, I'm going to do order in both cases. You could think we could do 1,000 things with this. I'm going to go ahead and do default properties, aggregation average, and then here, default properties, number format. I will go ahead and say percentage to decimals. I'll drag it over just to kind of make sure it makes sense. So we can kind of see on that piece. All right, then we'll also do item, let's see, order profit. So I'll do drop down. So we're going to do default properties, aggregation average, and then order profit, drop down, default properties, number format. I'm going to do currency custom, make sure I have my dollar sign. We'll do 2 decimals, and then I'll bring that over, go across. All right, looks good. So that's just my kind of unique check. Then I'll build some like basic visuals. So trying to think of the best thing to kind of show you all. Let's just bring those 2 variables over. So I'm going to do order profit, right? And then order profit margin. All right, I'll put them next to one another. Then I'm just going to do show me and do a table. And then you can see it starts combining things. I'm going to I think it'll work to flip this. And then I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger, right? So I'm going to do Control Shift B until I get it to kind of a point that I like. And then I'm just going to rename this Profit Overview on that kind of piece. So I can use these as like a key indicator card. I don't know why it right justifies. I'm going to go ahead, right click format, and then within the pane, I'll do the alignment centered. And then I'll do in the header, I don't know why it's not in the text, but I'll do alignment centered. And then the totals, I will do, I don't know why, it says it's centered, right? That's definitely not centered. Middle center. Here, and then in the pane, middle center. All right, let's go to our text on the worksheet. No, I want the alignment. Oh, there we go, on that piece. And I'll come back and we can kind of mess around with this, but I'm also going to bring in, I wonder if I could bring in the count of orders. Let's see if I can find, so I kind of need like the unique ID or like the order. I don't want to use product name because if I have multiple, it won't count them. So what I'm going to try is I'm going to bring unique order ID in here. Let's see what happens. Then I'm going to do show me back to a table. That piece, and it's summing them. And so I'm going to do here. I'm going to do measure, and then I'm going to do count distinct. And then, perfect, this is what I want. Pivot it this way. We'll have to make it a little bigger again. Control Shift B. And later on, we'll be able to kind of do this. And then I'm going to rename this. So I'm going to edit the alias and just put number of orders. I'll do OK, something like that. So then I kind of have a header that I can go across my dashboard to make it look a little bit easier. And so visuals can be nice. And so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to format. Let's go ahead and make this like, let's do 20. Yeah, and then what I'll do is I'll change the view to fit width, something like that. So this can be kind of my top end kind of piece, and I can kind of modify it, but I'll do that kind of in a little bit. Okay, then what I want to show us. Let's go ahead, create a new worksheet. Let's do a field map, and then we'll do, actually let's do a dot map since we have city state. So I'm gonna do, let's do, what do we want? Let's do order profit. Let's do profit margin because I think that makes more sense. So I'm going to do profit margin. That's what I care about. I don't want the item. Come on, Gray. Order profit margin. Bring that over. And then I'm going to do city state. And sometimes it'll default, but it still wants a bar graph here. So I'll go here. I'm going to change it to a dot map. So this one makes a little bit more sense to use dots. And it has no idea what's going on here. That means I've got something going on. So let me do unknown, edit locations. And it has no idea because it's trying to read them separate. I wonder why. Let's do from field. There we go. City matching location. All right, so let's drag this out. All right, so our concatenated version did not work. And so let's do order profit margin. Again, sometimes you just have to kind of play around. Then let's bring state over first. And then let's bring over city. So we have that kind of ordering. State, city. That looks more effective. So I'll do this. Done. Hopefully, oops, click the button. There we go. So this makes a little bit more sense. And then I'm just going to make this so maybe it's a little bit more unique. So I'm going to use color and size to show the same thing. And so I'm going to do my order profit margin onto color so I can start getting that kind of differentiation. And then the sizing, they all look very similar because it's such an extreme scale here. So I'm going to do edit sizes. And this one you kind of have to play with. So I may do something, honestly, where I do the start range of negative 270% is just nuts, right? So why not, let's do like negative 0.5. So it kind of combines all those. Let's do apply and see what happens. And then we get a little bit more kind of differentiation there. So big dot kind of means something. You can still modify this a little. You just have to be kind of careful on that kind of piece. I'm going to do the end value range. Let's see if changing it to 1 impacts it a little bit. Now the dots are all kind of small, so let's go 0.75. Kind of playing around that kind of piece. So then let's go by range maybe. I'm going to go a little bit bigger. Apply. And then let's go negative 0.75. And again, this is just kind of up to you all. So now I can kind of see them and there's some differentiation. I'm going to go a little bit bigger. Apply. Okay. All right, so I think I can kind of see that differentiation there. All right, so I'll do rename profit margin by state. And then let's go ahead and do kind of a simple one where I'm going to do it also by maybe category. So I'm going to do category, a lot of the things that we kind of looked at already. And then we'll do order profit margin. All right, and then honestly, I'm going to go ahead. Let's let it drill down as much as we want. Let's do subcategory onto this kind of piece. And you could do then, let's see if I bring category onto filter. Apply, okay. I kind of like it up here, in here. We'll let them drill down if they want. Then again, same thing. So instead of keep going from the left and right, I can hold control, drag this to color, and then I can do things where I sort it ascending to descending. I can do that because it doesn't really matter here, right? Now I'm gonna be careful here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna extend this down so that hopefully this will wrap the text. I'm gonna right click. I really want it to wrap, which it's not gonna do because it's one word. We'll be careful with this as we go through. I wish I could double click, but I don't want to get too deep into this. You can rotate the labels. I'll talk about why that's not a fantastic practice later, but for now, I think it's okay. Let's go ahead and just clean this up. So right click, format, let's get rid of our grid lines. I know it looks like they go away, but you have to go across rows and columns, make sure they're not there. I don't think you'll need this category subcategory because we'll use a label. So I'm going to do hide field labels. Then I'm just going to give like a reference line so we can kind of see across all of these. So I'm going to go to the analytics tab and I'm going to add an average line. So you could start with the overall, something like this, and I would then rename this, or I'll do edit, and then let me make sure this is going to work. All right, and so I'm going to do the label. I'm going to do a custom one. So I'm going to say
average AVG all order profit margin, and then margin. Sorry, my computer's going a little slow. All right, I'll do equals, and then I'll put in the value, and you can kind of see it here. So then I can do okay. Then I'm actually going to bring the average line onto the panes as well. And then instead of having like that really, really wordy piece, I'm going to right click, I'm going to do edit, and then I'll do, come on. I will again do a label, a custom, and then here I'll do I think I want the field label. No, that's not what I want. Oops. I will do the field name. I don't know why that's not going to work what I want. I think I'll do computation. So average equals here, and then I'll do the value. So then I can kind of compare across these. All right, and I may, honestly, just to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to do edit. Actually, I needed to do format. Let's see if I can do the formatting within this. Dun, dun. Again, I need to save. Yeah, so my line, what I'll do is I'll do like a light, maybe a little dash. That way it just differentiates it a little bit from all of those pieces. And even here, I could format this where maybe I don't want this. I want this to be bold and black, something like that. And then the others are within it. So you kind of have that differentiation between them. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and rename profit margin by cat / subcat. And then the last one I'm going to do is so many fun things I could do. I want to show you over time data. So since we have this order date, which I think makes the most sense, I'm going to look at that over time. And so I'm going to do order date up to here, and then I'll do order profit margin here. Right, and it starts by year. You can go crazy with this thing. I'm gonna show it also because usually one line's not gonna tell me a whole lot. Maybe I want to look either locationally or categorically. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in maybe region. So I'm gonna bring region onto color. So then I'm gonna get a different line for each one. Then you can go crazy by hitting this plus button. So you can see over time. Interesting. I thought this data was a little newer. That's fine. As we go through here, you can flip these, so like you can move these pills around so it shows by quarter, by year. It's up to you. Most people kind of like line graphs this way. And then I am going to format, I'm going to get rid of these kind of grid lines. Again, as I go across, that way things aren't kind of crazy. And then I'll do rename profit margin over time. And you can go kind of nuts on this, right? So you could do, you can do it by month. Honestly, you can then start pulling things into filters. I'm not going to do that. I'll do that maybe on the next one, but I'll leave it but just by year and quarter. And then we'll go ahead and let's build out our exploratory dashboard. So I'll have this second one here. I'm also going to go ahead and build my second one. All right, so I'm just going to, and then I'm going to have my story. So this is the last piece that you're going to have. So I'm just kind of building my roadmap here. I am going to automatically get rid of story one. This kills me when I see this up here. So I'm going to take from my title for my assignment. So I'm going to go find that for a second. All right, so for the assignment, I'm actually going to take this, right? So I'm just going to copy this header. Again, you can have it named whatever you want. I just think it's easy. Paste, and then I'll do something like Sorry. And so, yeah, I'll go ahead and paste. And then I'm going to do Southwest Office Solutions. Is that what our company was here? Southwest Office Solutions. Perfect. And then I would probably make this like 14, something like that. That way it's just a little bit cleaner. And honestly, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a new blank story point. Hopefully it's going to let me do that. And as this thing's moving slow, I need to just tell myself I need to make sure I save. I should have been doing this before. So save this somewhere that you know. So I went ahead and named it initial e-commerce profitability analysis. And then I'm just going to go ahead and add a caption here to this story. So this is going to be my exploratory dashboard. It's going to load. And then this is going to be explanatory dashboard. Right, and I'm going to save and reopen this because it's moving so slow. All right, so we kind of have our roadmap here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to rename this explanatory dashboard, and I'm going to rename this exploratory dashboard. And I made these backwards. And so I'll move this here. And then on the sizing, I'm actually going to do a fixed size, and then there should be a story point. We may have to kind of play around with these. So I'll do that, fixed size. Even here, we can modify it in the story. It's just a little bit kind of harder to kind of do that. And then on this, it's just kind of pulling our visuals in here. And so I'm going to bring in the overview. Then I'm going to bring in the map. I'll probably put it, I kind of want to put it across the left, but it's fine. Then I'll bring, so this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drop down fit to the entire view, and then the sizing will modify as I kind of move this thing around. I don't know why it doesn't want to do this. I'm going to right click, hide the title, and something like this. We kind of have to play around. For the map, I think that's okay. Let's do maybe this analysis underneath here. I'm going to do the drop down. I'm going to make this floating. And again, I know I'm moving fast because you all are getting better. And then here, I'm going to do floating. And this is still going to kind of modify. I'm just going to have to be careful. This piece. And so, trying to think of what I would want my last kind of piece here. So I'm just kind of fitting these here. I think that's fine. All right, and then I'll bring in maybe my line graph. Maybe I want that here. I'm gonna do this just underneath so I can kind of see it. Again, order profit margin maybe here. And so I may honestly go back to this visual and just do, I'm just going to simplify it a little bit. So I'm just going to make it over time. I go to here. Perfect. I'm going to do this. I'm going to arrange items. Let's do single row. And then I kind of have these kind of pieces. And then now you can kind of see, I don't see a whole lot in here. So I'm going to go into this piece and I've got to modify my dot sizes. You can actually do that from here as well. So I'm just going to like kind of modify it this way. And again, it just doesn't translate as well to the map once we start kind of messing around with the sizing. So I just have to kind of do a little bit, and I forgot to lock the map, which is unfortunate. I do that fairly often. So let me do this. Again, it looks crazy small on this piece. So a lot of it's just getting to a piece that I'm semi-happy with. Like that. You can kind of see the colors. If I had a little more time, I may jump back in and play on this, but I don't want you to go that kind of deep into things. I'm going to get rid of United States because that kind of bugs me. So I'll go to map. There's lots of different ones, but it's in the background layer. And then just uncheck the country name. You cannot get rid of all this fill in the back. I'll talk about later how to fill this space that's a little bit kind of cleaner. And then the last thing I'm going to do is, so I'm going to edit this title. So I'm just going to do profit margin by category and subcategory. I'll do apply. I'll do okay. I don't know. Okay, it wants to fit these here. So I don't love that I'm going to uncheck the title. There we go. So it makes it a little bit kind of easier. But I may honestly cheat a little bit just to get this so it's not as terrible. All right, so we have those kind of pieces. I don't need that, so I'm just kind of cleaning stuff up. Maybe I'd want to put the labels on this. It could look a little bit ugly, but we can always check, right? So I'm going to do profit margin, control, bring it onto label, and yeah, it's kind of a lot, so I'll just undo. You can see it in the tooltip if you go over on that kind of piece as well. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just going to clean this up. Again, I would come back and do a few more things, but it's not a big deal. I would do a dashboard title. I don't think you'll need a dashboard title just because you'll have it in the story here. And you'll have that kind of piece. So just to get this thing a little bit more interactive, maybe you want a set of filters here. So if I go look, I haven't really added any filters anywhere. I would kind of want it by category. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to drag it into the filters. I'm just going to do apply, okay. And then maybe via, I don't know, we'll do region. I think that kind of makes sense. So we're going to have that. I'll do that here. And then I'll do all apply, okay. And then maybe one more. Do I want the ship mode? Maybe we'll do the segment as well. So here, and again, where you add this doesn't really matter. Sorry, I need to do this. Apply, okay. Because what I'm going to then do is I'm going to go to this exploratory dashboard. I'm going to find that visual. All right, and I'm going to do the drop down. And then I'm going to do filters, and then I'm just going to add the ones that I want. So it's going to get ugly here initially, so I'll do filters, I'll category, let's see, filters, I'll do region, then I'll do filters, segment. So I'll make these relatively large, and then what I'll do is maybe I'll put them here, and then I'm going to have to kind of modify it. So I'm going to undo really quick, undo. So I just want one at a time. So I'm going to put it, yeah, here, and then here, and then here. And then I didn't use a horizontal container, so I'm going to have to kind of eyeball this as we move quickly. This piece, and then I'm just going to change them first to do, let's do multiple value drop down. Here, multiple value drop down, here, multiple value drop down. And I like to do it here because when you modify it other places, you can't see it. And so again, I've got to be kind of cautious because now my key text is a little bit kind of hidden. All right, so I'm just going to pull these down just a little, and then I've got to kind of mess around here. And then I'm just going to apply it to all the worksheets. So I'm going to do filter, apply to worksheets. I'm going to do all using this data source. Then when I do uncheck all of the visuals work. So I can kind of play around with it that way. So I'll do the same thing here, apply to worksheets, all using this data source. Here, apply to worksheets. All using this data source. And again, I know your final assignment is to kind of make these look a little cleaner. So I'll go through those kind of pieces. But all right, so now it's an exploratory dashboard. I didn't add any actions just because it's already kind of busy. But again, I can explore this to see so many different things. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's save this. Right, and then I'm going to go to story 1. And then I'm going to bring over this dashboard here. We, again, have to be kind of careful with sizing. I don't love that it forces you into this kind of piece. So what I do is once I have kind of one that I'm semi-happy with, I just modify things a little bit. That way I don't have that external scroll bar. I just scroll kind of normally in that kind of piece, which is nice, which you'll see if I go here, you'll actually see like all these things do that. So again, I'm going to save, right? And then I'm going to rename this to be profit margin story. All right, and so explanatory dashboards, you have all of these, right? What an exploratory one is, or sorry, exploratory dashboard is you have it so you can explore. Explanatory is just one key visual where you kind of highlight really important things. And so we could use any of these that we really want. I kind of like the idea of this graph. You could do this one as well, but it's more just finding something interesting that we're kind of seeing. And so I'm seeing that, hey, furniture across the board has the lowest overall profit margins. And so that would probably be the visual that I really want to kind of focus on and kind of bring insights to, because I think that would be, and again, we could drill down and go super deep into this and find something else. But for now, just like a surface level thing, that visual sort of, it shows that kind of piece, which is really, really nice. So one, I'm going to make a note to you all. So I'm going to do show dashboard title. All right. Note, you need to add company logo and information button to this dashboard. And then do apply. That's for you all. Replace it and do OK. But then for the explanatory dashboard, what we're going to do is I'm going to just pull that visual over. Right, something here. And then I'm going to do, I don't know why it's already checked. So I'm going to do show dashboard title. And then as I go through here, I'm just kind of thinking through what I want the key takeaway to be, right? So deeper analysis is needed for furniture orders, which lag in all categories, all subcategories relative to the average, right? I don't have an action yet because we haven't kind of gotten deep into that. But you can kind of see those kind of pieces. And so I'm going to close this out. And then I'm just kind of looking at those kind of pieces. This is just, I think it does a good enough job that I don't need this. So I'll do apply, okay. Right. And then you can do things on here where you can like annotate and add like text or something of that kind of nature. There are images, stuff of that nature. I would do like strategic bolding. I would do bold, and maybe I would make this red just because I'm doing more colors. Red, okay. And then I may, since it's a proper. All right, and do apply, okay. if you wanted to modify this graph, we would actually duplicate it. That way we didn't mess it up on the other dashboard. But again, I'm trying to only show you one thing at a time here. As we go through, and so I'm wondering, I don't think I can kind of do this piece. I will maybe clean this up a little bit. How do I want to show it? Can I right click? I'm clicked on furniture. This piece, I'm trying not to kind of overwhelm you all too early here. So maybe we bring, I should have duplicated this image, but we might as well go to floating, and then I'll go to just a text box here, something of this nature, just like a placeholder. I'll do okay. Whereas I kind of I'm gonna size this. Right, and it's just something basic, and I'll make it red, like the average profit margin for all furniture orders that is negative with, I'm going to do okay, right now 15% with tables losing the most at approximately negative 15%. And so I'll say on average do okay. All right, so it's just kind of like guiding them a little bit. I may honestly, this is kind of small, so maybe I'll do 12. And then again, strategic bolding, just to kind of pull attention. Okay, it's something like that. Again, we haven't gone deep enough to figure out if there's like a particular table or something like that. But you can kind of see we're kind of pulling key points over onto that kind of piece. All right, so the last thing I'll do is, and again, you could go super deep. We'll learn more throughout the semester, but again, I want to be kind of strategic. So I'm going to go to the explanatory dashboard. I'm going to pull that one in. We'll just have to check the sizing. This sizing actually looks pretty good. I would be careful. You could do automatic. Actually, I'm going to undo just because the sizing of that, it will cause issues later. But I think that fits relatively well. I think let's do a little bit. Yeah, I don't want the sizing in there. So if I wanted to modify this so that maybe it's a little bit less, I could do, oops. So maybe I think it makes more sense to be something like this. Be careful with your text so it doesn't get kind of written off. Then I'll go to the profit margin story. Then I just kind of get it to the point where I think it's a little bit more legible, a little more clean. All right, so I'm going to do save. I'm then going to make sure I'm clicked on here. And then I'm going to rename this exploratory dashboard for profit margin. And I'm going to do furniture is lagging. And then you can modify these to, it doesn't have that scroll, but make sure you're clicked here. Go ahead, save. Don't forget this note in here to update that. That's the only remaining piece that you need to do. Then what we're going to do is we're going to save to Tableau public as. You're going to have to sign in. All right, once you sign in, sometimes it's going to ask you. So make sure you see that. And then all I want to see is this, right? I don't want to see anything else. I'll show you what I mean here. Mine's loading on a separate page, so I'll bring it here. All right, and so this is all I want to see, and make sure you're kind of saved onto that piece, right? And so it's fine that you have this scroll in here. Again, I
mean, ideally, we could still get rid of this. If it bugs you. So again, that's just an issue with this piece. It's weird that it's still in here. So it's not the width. Let's go back to the height. Let's do that. And then it looks like, I guess our story points have to be the same size. That's unfortunate. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to, again, save. Then I'm going to do save to Tableau public. And you're welcome to do aesthetic things on the background and all those kind of pieces as well, but they're not mandatory. That's what the last assignment will be for you. So as we go through, now you don't have that scroll in there, which is much nicer, and we can kind of look and see those kind of pieces as we go through. All right, so then once you get to that, copy this URL, put it into the Excel file, save that, and submit it. So thank you. Let me know if you're on any questions.